As you know by now, we have reached our final destination with our boat trip from southern France to Lysekil, Sweden. We have crossed continental Europe. We didn't really know exactly what route to take when we started, but we had a plan. We knew there were a lot of canals in Europe, as you can see here. There are lots and lots of canals to choose from, especially the central part of France. They have lots and lots of canals. You can cross from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic down here. You could go north the way we did by going the Rhone River and also continue on the Saône. And our final destination up here, Sweden. We didn't find a map covering the whole area, so we will divide it into two sections. So, since we didn't really know, our planning tool for all the trip was actually this one. So this is our master plan for going to Sweden. And we started down here. This is actually quite worn out, so we go back to the other map. We started here in the Mediterranean, in a place called Port Camargue, going into the Rhone River here, but we just couldn't go into the estuary because it's too sandy and not enough water depth, even though it's one of the big rivers in Europe. So we had to go around a lot of sandbanks over here, going into the first lock to enter the Rhone River itself. It was absolutely beautiful down here. When we have crossed all the refineries and chemical plants going into the Rhone River, what we could see from the river was actually felt like a jungle or a pristine forest, at least what we could see from our boat. We were more or less alone on the river. We saw a very few pleasure boats and also very few commercial boats on this trip. And we were surprised by the lack of mooring for private boats. For example, when we entered the quite big city of Arles, and from our books that we had been reading, we could see that there were actually possible moorings for some boats there. But when we got there, the mooring was actually turned private and owned by a club, so we were not really allowed to be there. We stayed overnight there anyway, and we were met by, as usual in France, really nice people. So we managed to stay the night, and then we continued on Avignon and lots of lovely places all along the Rhone River, going all the way up to Lyon. Here we had to change river because the Rhone goes into Switzerland from here, and since we were heading for Sweden, we continued on the Saône River, which is an absolutely lovely river. The water quality was so much nicer and clearer than on the Rhone. We saw lots and lots of fish, people swimming, having a really good time. Still not many boats, so we were quite often alone. And the scale of the water locks here, felt really tiny because, I mean, in the water lock where it's 200 meters long, 12 meters wide, and in one instance 23 meter high in one go, and our boat is just 9 meters, so we felt quite small. Going on, until it's this point, we didn't really have any choice. We just followed the river. Here the choices started to add up, which canal to choose, and as you can see here, we have lots and lots. But we had one thing that we knew, it was that we wanted to go into the Kattegat Sea, east of Jutland, part of Denmark, that we will come to that later on. That meant that we aimed for Lübeck or Kiel. So we hadn't decided which one yet. We thought that when we go further north, we will know. True enough, back again, when we went here, we had quite a few choices to take canals, and we got some information from other people we met cruising the Rhone and people working around there. And we got the information that some of the canals were really heavily grown with algae and stuff. This canal, for instance, we had like 5 days cruising without a single village. So we opted for this canal, which was a really good choice because we passed by so many nice places like Dole, Besançon, and other lovely places that it's really, really worth seeing. Going all the way to Mulhouse. This, by the way, goes up, 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 up until this point where it starts to go down again. 75 locks going up, 41 going down. And then until we entered this canal over here, where we entered the Rhine River, which is called the Grand Canal Alsace down here, but it's parallel to the Rhine and actually in the Rhine River. We are still in France here, all the way to Strasbourg, but another obstacle for us was that I have been really struggling with my French, talking on the VFH radio with the lock keepers, because you had to do that all the way up here. I started to feel a little bit more confident with my French, talking to them, but they replied in German, heavily accented German at that, so that was quite stressful in the beginning. This part of the Rhine River is really, really beautiful. It goes through the Black Forest, and also a very, very pretty romantic part of the Rhine River with loads and loads of castles, old cities, really, really old places, and lots of history. Wherever we looked, it was really nice. Worms, for example, was supposed to be, I think, one of the oldest cities in Germany. That means old. So we had a very good trip all the way to Koblenz, where we had another choice to go on different canals. This is the way we wanted to go initially, but we had to continue on the Rhine River. The Rhine River was really good in one way because we had the current with us. So all the way up until then we had gone against the current or no current at all. But in this case we actually doubled or tripled our speed going north, which was good, because in this northern part of it the landscape was not that interesting anymore. And we tried to stop and see Bonn. I mean, it was used to be the capital of West Germany, but to our surprise, there were no mooring for boats in Bonn, so we couldn't stop. So we wanted to stop in Köln. They had a marina there, but it was full, so we couldn't. So we had to go all the way to Düsseldorf, which was a really nice place also. So it's not bad, but we were really surprised that we couldn't see Bonn and Köln. Going up in this area, we had decided to take the Rhine-Hemke Canal. So we went in to the marina here, but unfortunately it was not serviceable at the moment because one of the locks had broken down, and we got that information from the Hafenmeister, they call them in Germany. So back again, continue on the Rhine to Wesel, and then we took Wesel-Datteln Canal this way, and then we entered Dortmund-Ems Canal going this way up here. And then finally we entered the Mittelland Canal to take us east, because we had got some information here that the Kiel Canal is not so nice, go for Lübeck instead. So we did that. So we followed this route, passed by the Minden, which we found out that it has actually belonged to Sweden once, going all the way to Hanover, where we had a pizza that made us, or me, really sick, all the way here. And then we entered the Elbe Sighting Canal, going directly north again. Not so many things to see, but part of it was actually kind of nice. Still a lot of, this part of it was quite heavily trafficked by canal boats, by the way. And you cannot imagine how big that can be sometimes. We went all the way here to one other interesting thing, that it was actually a ship lift. So they had one huge bathtub, 100 meters long, 12 meters wide, where you can go in with the boat, and they lowered us, in this case 38 meters, and the cables were quite massive, but it was really uneventful but very strange feeling to go in a lift in a boat in a lot of water. So after that we took the Elbe-Lübeck canal, entered Lübeck, found a really nice marina in the center of Lübeck, really pretty, nice weather, and we had a lot of nice walks in that area to see Lübeck again. We had seen it before, but I think we saw the wrong places last time. This time we really enjoyed it. And after that we continued on this tiny canal to our last point in the canal system, Travemünde. It was really a lovely place, lots of beaches, nice areas, restaurants, really nice place for vacation. I can highly recommend it. We had to stop an extra day there because the day we planned to continue, it was so much fog that we couldn't see more than, let's say, half a kilometer, which is not enough because it's really heavily trafficked here with ferries and freight ships and things, and they are really big, and we didn't really want to go blind, even though we have a radar, but still we didn't want to do that. So we waited for another day and also planned our next destination, which turned out to be, I will get the next map. Our next destination, Lübeck, down here, Travemünde. So we went this way to Fehmarn. That is the last point in Germany. Also a very good location if you want to stock up on some wine and stuff, because one of the disadvantages with going on the canal that we did was that you couldn't really stop by any wineries along the way, because there weren't many places you could stop in the canals. But here we had the option to go first to have a nice stop, and also to buy some more necessities. We did that on the bicycle, by the way. It was an adventure to overpack bicycles with beer and stuff. After that we left Germany altogether and went into the Danish waterways. And as you can see, the scale is vastly different because Denmark is actually not that big compared to the rest of Europe. So we went this way, around here, and all the way this way up to a place called Omö. It is a very small island, very quaint, very pretty, and we had a very good stop there after a long day of cruising. We had actually at the beginning quite bad visibility as well, but going further north we had nicer and nicer weather, so we were really pleased to enter here in the evening to have some good food and stuff. The day after we continued on north, passing under the Great Belt Bridge. It is absolutely massive, and it was interesting for me to go under it, because last time I saw that bridge I was actually flying a helicopter very low to pass it on the way for a flight exhibition many years ago. So we continued here, and this is a heavily trafficked canal with lots of really big container ships, tanker ships and everything. And then we went into Kalundborg because we wanted to meet our friends living up here. So we asked them to come and pick us up, because with the boat it would take us 2 days to get here. With the car, 1.5 hours or something. So we didn't really go that fast. We cruised along like 10-12 kilometers an hour, which is quite nice for us because it's not so noisy and it's quite economical. So we went here and then they picked us up, and then the weather turned for the worse, And we had some experience with waves before, but we had really high winds for 3 or 4 days. So we actually stopped our cruise for 4 nights, I think. And then going back again, the weather had turned really, really lovely. So when we took the next leg from Kalundborg to Greno, we had absolutely flat sea, and it was lovely. It was so nice to be out at sea in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't see anything, not any other boats sometimes, no land, nothing here. And it was so flat, it was like a mirror. It was so nice. We could stop, we could just go swimming and then start the engine again and continue on. So then we went to Greno, also a really nice place to be. We started quite early in the morning after, and then we exited the marina and went a little bit north. We ended up in the pod of porpoises, like 10 of them or something. It's difficult to count when they are spent most of the time underwater. But it was a really nice close encounter. After that, we continued north. We had planned to go to Fredrikshamn, which is here, but we thought that going here to Verso, whatever it's called in Danish, a tiny place dug out in the sand. So it's I think it's artificial marina actually. They're excavating sand and then they made a marina out of it. Really nice bird reserve, really nice water, nice place to stop. No restaurants, nothing, but we had everything we needed in the boat anyway. So it was a good stop. The next morning we took the last 2 hours to go to Fredrikshamn, where we spent the day and evening with my daughter, who lives there nowadays. Surprisingly nice place, because when you go there with the ferry and you just see the ferry terminal, it does look very industrial, and we have the military base there as well. That doesn't really make it that quaint, but going into the city center it was actually a lot better. So the day after we went to Läsø. We decided to go to Västerö. It is the same place where the ferry goes. So we went there. It was a quite rough ride actually, a little bit tough with the waves and very choppy. So we were quite happy when we arrived in Läsø, and we were met by a lot of friendly and helpful Swedish people. Up until that point we hadn't seen, I wouldn't say any Swedish boats, apart from one in the beginning in the Rhone River. Apart from that, no other Swedes. And as the weather was not perfect the day after with the wind and stuff, we actually stayed another extra day. And we're glad we did, because Läsø is really, really beautiful, and the sand dunes are absolutely lovely. People are nice, the food is good, and we had a really good time there. And from then on we left Denmark, and you have to go a detour because it's really shallow. And then we went all the way into Gothenburg, and we stayed in the city center, just next to the opera house in the dead center of Gothenburg. And which was a good thing also, to be there in the city center. I met the parents and also had the opportunity to get my second COVID jab, which was also nice. And after that we continued north, going out again, on the way to Lysekil, which is not visible on this map, but it's over here somewhere. So that's basically the trip we took through continental Europe, and I would absolutely love to do it again. 58 days, 200 locks, 1400 liters of diesel, 260 engine hours to get there, and a lot of beautiful places and things to see. So really, really well worth it. So, but not this year.
You forget one thing.
Only one thing?
A few things.
Okay.
We still miss France.
Oh yes, 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 yes. France
Yes,
always wins. The nicest people, the most beautiful places to see. Yeah. So sorry, Germany. Even though you have the nice areas, France wins. Yes. Both with the nice places and also the nicest people. Yeah. So that's it.
We say goodbye.
Bye bye. And now we're here.